Hey, what's up, guys? I want to do some more Tour 5 for you guys. So you can see where we left off. This is going to be basically Tour Part 9, I believe. I believe I'm on Part 9 of Tour Play. So you can see with where the account's at, not much has changed. I might have got just a couple club cards and some spots here, as you can kind of see. Worked through some chests since last time, and just going to pretty much get underway here. Let's see if we can't just finish off Tour 5. Just kind of keep this into 2 streams here. So we'll see how my performance goes today in Tour 5. See if we can't get the ball rolling here. Just try to work through most of this. So, a very interesting hole here. What I typically try to do is just try to keep this in play more so than anything. Other thing I can do is I could get aggressive if I'd like. Not always the smartest thing, but it's something that can be done. With this wind, I'm a little hesitant to get a little too aggressive. What I'd like to do is a hook shot, and I really don't feel comfortable with that with this wind scenario. So you can see I'm just going to kind of play a little bit more straight up here and just try to focus on my perfect ball. But you can see I'm pulling out a Titan ball, which is, you know, a little wasteful. Technically, I don't need to do that. However, as you can see, it'll put me up in a good position for eagle. Another thing you can do is just kind of hop it off of here, which is a good strategy. Is just hopping off of this fairway into this fairway. It does put you a little bit longer. You can see where my opponent's going to have to do. Going to have to lay up here. Going to have to probably hit a perfect ball and make sure that they have plenty of curl to the right to keep it out of the sand. Otherwise, you know, they might just have to control their topspin amount to make sure that it doesn't run out into the sand. So let's just see. And there, as you can see, it does have the momentum to just get to the sand. Another thing that they could have done, especially with limited curl, is just kind of back off on that topspin altogether. But let's take a look here. Got a really bad break with this wind. I do believe this is maybe about 2 per ring, which is going to put the halfway point about 4 per ring. I'm just going to go for a dunk here. Probably will require kind of a perfect ball. And you can kind of see I'm going to play basically 2 rings into the cup. So I'm thinking somewhere in here. Missed my perfect ball, so I probably missed the dunk, as you can see. It does float out to the side. It was a bad wind, but with my perfect ball there, would have been good to go. I'm noticing just a slight bit of lag on my screen. I noticed it off the tee shot. I'd really like to restart my device. After this match, I am going to just jump out of here and just try to release my cache a little bit from the game. See if that doesn't help with the lag, since, you know, I won't be able to reset the game midstream. But you know, unfortunately, we're going to go to a shootout. We had, you know, kind of the worst wind scenario there. It actually made that shot as hard as possible, because typically, you know, I may not go for the dunk. Another thing that I could do is I could just, you know, switch over to the down and one, and I probably could have great balled that into the hole with the down and one. So that's also something, you know, that I can think about doing. But what that will do is it'll essentially force me to have to go for the dunk each and every time, because I would never trust that club, and not being able to see the ball guide is just a little bit too risky. Something I don't really like to do. So unfortunately, we are going to go to the shootout, which gives my opponent new life. As I mentioned, you know, with the down and one, I probably would have been able to secure that even with a great ball. So it is, a little bit frustrating because I essentially am going to a shootout I could have avoided. I was, a half club there. I knew that was going to play, somewhere around 4 or 5 per ring. Very small adjustment, but you could see how big the bullseye target was. Really required perfect ball to be able to hold that. And all it does is kind of create a new opportunity for me to essentially throw away the game. And that's one of the main reasons, that I'm a little disappointed with that. So let's see how this goes. There's, kind of a large different ways to play this that, my opponent here can have great success. So let's just see how this plays out, because there is kind of a backstop behind the hole. Looks like they're just out to the side instead of the backstop. So you can see with where they are, I'm going to try to maybe just do kind of a controlled shot here. And you can see with the Titan, that kind of, I'll typically play it with a wood up here. But, with this extra distance on the Titan, probably just go at this like this. Just a tiny bit of backspin. And we'll try to go for some curl here. As you can see kind of the way that I'm playing this. Typically I'll play maybe about 2 rings or so. And on top, we're also going to do some curl. So you can see with, the way that I recommend kind of playing this is just to kind of curl it in there. Now I am able to pick up the win. You can see just hung it out to the left just a little bit. But overall, pretty good distance control. It's good to make sure that I didn't, throw it away. But even to take it to the shootout in that scenario, it's almost like a loss. Anytime that you do a Titan, you want to make sure that you win. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that there. But let's go here into the settings real quick. I'd like to go to apps. And I'd just like to kind of clear Golf Clash out. Because I do sense just a little bit too much lag on the game here. So clear cache right here. That'll clear that up. That's the only thing I should have to clear. Only other thing to do is make sure that I force close it. Get rid of that stuff too. So once I reopen the game up, it should have new life here and hopefully be just a little bit more fluid. Another thing that I was mentioning would be, potentially for the wedge game, I could switch to the down and one. You can see it's at 90 accuracy. It's got some good range, not a lot of spin. But, let's just switch it so I can actually just start playing around with that dunk just a little bit more. It's going to, anywhere around the green, I'm essentially just going to be guaranteed a hole out. The only time that I'm going to potentially miss with the down and one is if I get too close. So or too close to max club is what I mean. So I'll just want to avoid max range pitches. So something that you can also do, which really doesn't matter when I have, when I have something as bad as a, so hold on, let me switch this real quick. So just going to go right here. And I still got that lag. Still got it. I wonder if it has anything to do with the new update. Whatever it is, it's really annoying. Not only did I get it on my pullback, I touched the screen and there's a delay. On top of that, it seems like the needle is just kind of darting across the target right now too. So it's very frustrating to be dealing with this. And it seems like there's, on a weekly basis, playing this game anymore, I'm getting this same needle lag. Every time they do an update, something will get messed up. And then they'll have to release a second update. And, I can't think of anything else that would be causing this. I really don't think it's my device. I have a very, very good device. It's very fluid. And the fact that that needle just seems to be really jumping right now, and not to mention the animation slow to go back, which never happens on my device. I'm not used to seeing that really ever. Oh, wow. So really good opportunity when we have winds this small. So what I typically do is about 2 backspin. So that's what we're going to focus on. And a very good opportunity here towards max club. Oh, I have to put my my amp back on apparently. Closed it down. For this one, we're just going to go almost half a ring here. Be very careful. Got our perfect. There's a good chance this is, lip out or better here. So this is going to be very, very close. And sure enough, right into the cup. Anytime you get a small win like that, especially when it's pointed straight, you want to try to make sure that you take advantage of it. And that's the one reason that I wanted to make sure that it at least had enough momentum. I want to give that a very good opportunity. And as you can see, even with the limited ball guide, we really don't need it. All we need to do is use that second hop. All I have to do is know where that second hop is. And I just got to learn how to play this game with that second hop and memorize kind of the spins to replicate that. So let me go back in here, get this grid turned on. But as you can see, not an essential thing. So this whole overlay discussion about, apps having it, as you can see, I'm not even using the notebook right now. But, all this nonsense about, overlays being, the cause of why people lose or whatever, it's a ridiculous argument. People, they just want a reason to complain. They want a reason to basically blame the game or, other people for why they're not winning. So that's more or less what we're seeing with this whole overlay thing coming into and being a huge thing here. So I'm going to open a couple chests. I didn't have to do that one specifically, but I'm going to do this a couple times because I'd like to start, getting pretty close here. Let me see what that does for my skewer. I do want to take a look at this. Power and backspin, maybe hold off on that. It's a little pricey, and I don't plan on switching to it until accuracy gets bumped up. So it might need to go all the way up to a 5 or a 6 before I even consider using that thing. So with that being said, I'm just going to wait, let the cards build up some, and we'll go from there. Was that how many? So that was 2 wins. I think that puts the magic number for me at 7. If I go the next 7 wins in a row, I can close out this tour. So this is one of the, least holes that I like to see. What I plan to do is just essentially lay up on purpose. It's very, very challenging to take advantage of this hole. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of aim in here, maybe with just a little bit of curl. You can see, the overpower is probably going to be okay. Right around 2-ish rings, maybe with some curl. Great ball. So hopefully this holds on. It's one of the reasons that I try to do the curl. It's just to make sure that I leave myself a ring of air. But you can also see that I backed off the club and I'm just going to kind of use a Viper. I essentially assume there's no way that I'm going to be playing an opponent that is going to be able to get to the green in 2. I pretty much accept this is a 3-shot hole in order to get to the green. And with that being said, you can see that I'm just kind of, I'm not going to waste that Titan ball. I'm not going to bring my big dog, because I'd rather just concentrate on, grinding it into the fairway, no matter what the wind is the second time around, and just avoid things like the rough off the tee. That's the biggest thing that you need to kind of worry about. However, I do have a off-roader now, which will help me get out of trouble if I do make mistakes like that. But here you can see kind of where we're at. And I'm just going to, more than anything, try to concentrate on accuracy, come over about 2 or 3 rings here. And I'll try to back off the power, whatever makes me a little bit more comfortable for perfect or near perfect ball. So you'll see that I basically just kind of put it up here towards, mid to min on my Apache. And it'll give me a very good chance to still be able to hole out there. You can see my opponent has the big dog, which in my opinion, if we go to shootout, it's going to favor me considerably. Not necessarily that we're going to get a wood hole, but it could happen. So with that being said, would rather have the Viper if push comes to shove and we need to use it. Much better for accuracy purposes. So you can see with where we're at, there's min club. You can see we also got a small wind. With this small wind, I typically play, I'm thinking maybe about 4 per ring on min club. And I'll typically put the second hop maybe about there. So at about 4-ish per ring, somewhere very close to 4-ish per ring. Maybe 2/3 of a ring, somewhere in here. Got my perfect. And it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much. So since the fact that it was kind of a side wind, I was, getting just a little bit aggressive with how much I was going. It probably plays a little bit closer to, 2.2 at max, 4.4 at min. And I was playing it just a little bit over aggressive on how much wind because it was a side angled wind. And because of that wind effect, that's going to so I did, kind of maybe just barely over adjust in that situation. But there you can see opponent under adjust the wind on their shot. As I mentioned, I feel a little bit more comfortable when this shootout. I think, it puts me in a good position to be able to pull this off here. So we'll see what shootout hole we get. But there is a couple wood scenarios that we could get. And of course, anytime with the wood, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable if I have the Viper as opposed to the big dog. So this is typically a iron for me. Looks like my opponent's going to go first. So we'll use their shot as kind of a guideline as to what I'm going to do. Now this is typically what I'll do, and you can see how they're aiming. They kind of know what they're doing, it seems, because they're doing pretty much pretty close to where, So all that curl, that's going to make it very tough to miss the bunker. Very tough to miss the bunker. And he's also overpowering it. So you have to watch this overpower because there's a chance, as you can see, launches it right into the water. So all I'm going to do is essentially just hit this up here. I'm not going to do anything fancy at all. I don't even care if it goes in the bunker. So I'm not even really going to concentrate on this too much. Just trying to get through it as fast as possible here. There you can see what we did. Just put it in play. And sure enough, pick up another win. See, nope, not a gold yet. We do still have one vacancy. I'd also like to finish that pin chest at least in this stream. So we'll keep going here. We're less than 100 trophies away now. So if we can just keep grinding this out, hole 3 this time. So this is one that we do want to get just a little bit more aggressive on. So I'll typically try to drive this just a little bit farther. I know if I bring a Titan and I get my ball up here, I can use a Viper. If I don't, I'll have to use a big dog and topspin. So here you can see my opponent with only a basic ball. There's a good chance that they, may just kind of push the bounds on themselves just a little bit with, what this club can do. Now, what I typically do is overspin it. Ooh. So that's a big mistake there, especially early on in the game. You don't want to put this in the rough off the tee. So what I'll typically do is curl it. And as I mentioned, I'll typically use a power ball as well. What the power ball allows me to do is, remove the big dog from the equation altogether, which is something that I like. So what I'll typically do is maybe no spin and just kind of curl this over here. So somewhere around here, you can see no spin, as I mentioned. And we're just going to curl it into the fairway. And as I mentioned, what the Titan does is it makes me not have to get aggressive on my approach. I can still get to the green with a Viper, so I don't have to switch up the big dog. And you can see, I got wind straight into the face. My opponent actually has a very good club. This is a very good starter rough iron. So for using this really kind of saves my opponent. Being able to get a razor on this really gets it up here into a usable position. Whereas I'll be able to at least get it up there to the green relatively easy. And that's why I didn't want to force the issue here. Because as you can see, I'm going to be able to get this up here and get it to the green, which is all I'm going to focus on here. So more so than anything, not try to do too much. And just try to work the ball up here. It looks like, I almost great balled that into the sand. So it was pretty close. I think I hit a two ringer there. Great ball, and it almost ended up costing me. But what I should be able to do is easily, as I mentioned, I'm just trying to get it up there. If I get it up there close enough, with the down and one, as accurate as it is, I should be able to even great ball this dunk into the hole because the winds are so small. So there's really no complication with this pitch. So sure enough there, opponent does not make the pitch, which gives me, an open window here to be able to pull this win off. So as you can see, down in one, you can see that, as I mentioned, anytime the bullseye is smaller than the circle, we can essentially great ball it either way and still make this. So with that being said, it's pretty much dunk territory. We'll be able to put it in even with a great ball right, even with a great ball left. So that's the only purpose of using this club. And having it in the early stages really opens up that new possibility for you to work through and be able to, great ball and without consequence. So I'm going to open up a couple more chests. As you can see, I've been kind of breaking even with my gems, if you've been kind of paying attention, even though I'm opening chests to kind of accelerate the process of some things that I can get. I'm trying to get, something specific. Like I'd like to unlock Guardian. I'd like to unlock a Hornet or a Thorn. Whatever I can get to unlock is ideally what I'm trying to get. So let's keep going here. White Cliffs, hole 5. This is my least favorite. But we did just play it. We got it to a pitch distance. So if I can get it to a similar pitch distance, I just missed that pitch. So I can use that to my advantage, that knowledge. See a decent opponent here. You know, he hasn't played very many games and he's winning. That means he kind of understands the concepts. I can't believe that he's using kingmakers. That means that pretty much tells me that this guy is probably, almost no matter what, spending money on this game. Because there's almost no way that you should even have enough of those to be using them. A little too aggressive with that curl there. So as I mentioned, you know, more so than anything, you're just going to see me essentially lay up on this hole. So I basically just go for this, play at about 2 rings here, which would be, you know, landing somewhere right up in here. So that's all I'm trying to do. Just a tiny bit of curl. Not trying to do too much, just anything, you know, keep it away from the edges. And just put this ball in play. Any 4 is a good 4 here. Especially when I'm playing an early opponent. I have no idea you can see he doesn't have upgraded enough clubs to even get to the second fairway. So not being able to get to that, and this is a risky shot, let me tell you. I would never try to force the issue too much, and that's kind of what my opponent's doing here. And you can see a massive great ball, and definitely costs them. So from rough to rough, essentially makes my opponent probably only able to get par now. So all I need to do is essentially to finish this game off is just birdie, which is a kind of a big mistake. So more than anything, just trying to hit it up here. Try to get close to a perfect ball, get it to kind of the same positioning that I got it to last time. And we'll just play just a little bit less aggressively. I remember, you know, I played pretty close to 4 per ring. I might play, you know, I think there might be some uphill component as well. I might play closer to 5 per ring, 4.5 per ring, somewhere in there. And we'll do, you know, and it actually looks like the wind's going to be relatively straight. So that straight wind is going to be favorable for me as well. So what's good about that straight wind is, we were just kind of mentioning this, it kind of creates less tolerance for me to be able to miss this shot. So anytime you don't have a crosswind, it just becomes easier, which means there's a good chance that I can probably hold this, because I'm going to have to break it so little from the cup. But again, you know, kind of the same strategy as before. Let's try to bump it up in there, right around here. And there's a good chance, you know, that we can give this a pretty good run. As I mentioned, you know, I'm going to play much less break, as you can see. You know, I only went about 80% of a ring here. Got my perfect. Good chance that I'm going to make this one. So just under adjusted. So you can see that it did just deflect off to the right. But very close. See, now this is... So you can see my opponent already has a Guardian 1. As soon as I unlock that sucker, it's going in my bag. As you can see all this backspin that it starts off with. So great beginner's club. It is the best wood until you get to a Sniper 7, at least, typically a Sniper 8. So most tours you need more than 4 bars of backspin just to really be able to dissect the tours and kind of guarantee that you have all your bases covered. But here you can see we're able to pick up a win here. Be nice to unlock something. So I'm going to try to open this chest again. I'm definitely going to strive for that pin chest as well. As soon as I unlock that pin chest, it's going to good things. So we'll go back out. We'll unlock this chest. We're 2 away from opening the pin chest. So it looks like I didn't unlock anything here. Let's see what we got. It's okay. I'll take that. The better I get that quarterback up, the better I'm off. So if I can get that up to a 7, especially by next tournament, I don't think I'll make it up to a 7 by next tournament, but if I can get it up to a 6, there's always good use for that club. So quarterback is a great club, and it's not something that I can win cards for in rookie division. So I have to be playing this tour to do it. Hole 1 from White Cliffs, okay. Very challenging hole. Probably more so than anything, just play rather safe than sorry. The worst thing I can do here is make a mistake and maybe drive it in the rough. So what you'll see me do instead is more of kind of a layup shot. And I get somewhere up in here. Should be plenty good enough. So rather be safe than sorry here. I'm just going to keep a side spin ball on and just get this up here close to the edge. As I mentioned, the worst thing that you can do here is drive it in the rough. So you see that oh wow, this guy has an 8 already. Holy crap. Look at this opponent I'm playing. This is crazy. 600 trophies. 600 trophies. This guy has extra mile 8. How is that even possible? So with that logic, he's probably going to have a pretty solid rough iron too. So him making a mistake might not cost him too much. Now, what I may try to do here is just get just a little bit more aggressive. I do believe, we have room here. Go a couple rings down into the sand. Oh, right over the edge of the cup. So just a little bit too much on that sucker. Whew. So that was a good opportunity. I really could have used, taking a game away from this guy. Because I do not want to go up in a shootout against a guy with essentially a maxed, if he has a maxed driver, I would imagine that means his woods, whatever he's using, if he's using a Viper, it's probably a 10. If he's using a big dog, it's probably, at least a 6 or a 7 minimum. Probably even more than that. He's probably got that max because he has 10,000 games in. So I only have 150 games in. It's unfortunate that, I drew this opponent. But just because I drew that opponent doesn't mean I'm going to lose. So, this is kind of, just doing what I have to. So, a lot of times guys may say, how am I supposed to go up against guys that have these clubs, this many games? It's not fair. Trust me, it's very fair. Look at the clubs that I'm playing with. The matchmaking is fair. It's almost as fair as they can make it. Okay, now, granted, I'm kind of with you guys that I shouldn't be playing guys with those clubs. It does make it a lot harder, but look at what I just did. I had a backbone 6? I almost eagled that. I was that close to eagling it. So if I can eagle that, so can you. Jungleist, of course. Of course, you can't give me something legitimate that I actually want. It has to be a jungleist. So let's open a couple more. And Viper's getting up there. What was in my shop? So we'll keep going here. Quasar. Oop. Looks like we may be out of Quasars. I'll just go ahead and re-up that. I like using these for Tour 5 because of the extra side spin. Ever since they added these harder holes, I really like that side spin attribute. The old Tour 5, I'd feel comfortable with Marlins. But I really do like having the extra side spin for a lot of these holes just to be on the safe side, especially when it comes to the shootouts. So let's just see what this looks like. So again, it kind of, so this is tough because it's almost like, I feel kind of obligated to kind of go for this. Let's see if it stops. Looks like it did. So as you can see, I get it up to the fringe. It's kind of risk reward. You can see I kind of got to take a chance, especially going first. I don't know if my opponent's going to go for that. And if he does go for it and get it, I'm in a lot of trouble. So it does require great precision. As you can see, I didn't use topspin. So if my opponent uses that topspin and hits the fairway, he's going to be in a lot of pain. So he almost better hope for a mistake and just to bounce it off those rocks, to be honest with you. Because maybe you can roll it off those rocks into the fairway. It's kind of best case scenario for my opponent. As you can see, he does launch it on, and it's too much topspin. It goes OB. So once again, as I mentioned, straight into the cup. Great ball either way. Should be good. Yeah, right off the rock. That's awesome. And it stays in play. So let's see where we're at. We might be one game away. I kind of forget. Oh, we're a couple games away. We still got two more. Two more games. So as long as I win my next two, I can close out this tour. Let's just go ahead, open a couple more chests, see if we can't get something to unlock, or at least upgrade. There's a kingfisher that upgraded, sand lizard that upgraded. Kingfisher is really cheap to upgrade. It's something I can think of. I can use this. This would be a good tournament club, but you can see it doesn't have any power, it does create a gap. So if I'm going to bring Kingfisher for a tournament hole, you can see I will start to have some backspin, which is a good thing. I have some good ball guide, which I can start to use, which will make it a lot more holeable. It's a lot easier when you can crank up that backspin. It gives you much more control over the shot. And it's going to help my pitch game significantly. However, it creates a pretty large gap. You're going to have a 15-yard window, which you have to kind of stay out of. And for tour play, I'd rather not create that. I'd rather think about that for like an isolation shot. So for instance, if I get into a hole where I know I can keep it out of that window, I'll make sure that I hit my drive to a certain distance or give myself a pitch at a certain place. So risky hole here. Again, opponent with a ton of games. Okay, good. That's where I want to see my opponent aim. Because I do want to see him go for that fairway. See what he does ball-wise. So it looks like he's just going basic. So this will be interesting. Let's see how this works. It makes it very challenging to get to the green in 2 when you go this way with a basic, especially with a basic. Ooh, so big mistake, a little bit too much curl, puts himself in a lot of trouble. And, you know, as we kind of discussed on this hole last time, you know, you could see, you know, last time I think I used a katana. I'm going to want to make sure that I have that big dog on. And we'll also give ourselves just enough range to maybe great ball to the right. So just enough to pull off a great ball to the right here. I used the katana last time. We're just going to use a Titan because we have so many of them. And I know without a left wind, without a wind that's pointed to the left, I know I can keep it out of that left rough over there. So we'll go with just a little bit more length, and we'll just essentially avoid shootout. My opponent hit it in the rough. There's almost no chance my opponent's going to beat me or even tie me for shootout. So all I need to do is focus on that eagle and make sure that I get it. So that's all I'm trying to do here, is just make sure that I don't give up, you know, a cheap tie here to my opponent. However, they still could, you know, luck into or hit, you know, a well-played shot from range. So you always at least have to be thinking about, you know, what if, you know, we also don't know what that third wind will be. What if it's, you know, a 0.9 wind and it's just like straight at the hole? Because I know it can be as low as a 1. So, you know, it could be 1.2, for instance, on the wind, which really makes things easier. And you can see he did position himself in the fairway. Gives you a chance. No matter what, it gives you a chance. And all I try to do here is a bit of curl. Bit of backspin. So you can see, using just a wee bit of overpower, a wee bit of curl. Just put it somewhere into the green. Not trying to do too much here. So just solidify that eagle. Only hit a power that you're comfortable with. If you need to, you know, take off some of that backspin and go into a little bit less power, that's okay. You'll wind up on that back fringe. Well, for me, I feel comfortable going into that much overpower, you know, that I'm not going to hit a 2-ring great ball. I'm kind of positioning my aim to where I could great ball on either side as long as it's not 2 rings. So again, this is kind of exactly what I was just talking about. So a very small wind, barely any angle, and my opponent could, you know, with perfect ball here, put this, it has a chance. It has a chance. Just a little bit more topspin. I mean, look how close that is. A very good opportunity to still get to that shootout with, you know, a lucky break plus, you know, well-executed shot. So never just think that you have it in the bag. Another thing, you never know who you're playing. You know, you see, if you match up against me in this tour, these are the thought process I'm going through. It's not necessarily that, you know, an opponent's going to luck out to beat you. Like, if I put myself in a position to where I feel comfortable that I can make a dunk or I can make a shot, you know, there's a chance that it's going down. There's always a chance that it's going down. So you can never... We either unlocked or upgraded something, one or the other. And it must be an upgrade because we only got 3 cards, but that's a good upgrade. I'll take it. Let's go back to that bag. Now we got the extra power, the extra accuracy. So now we're in business here. Viper 7 is the first port that it actually turns into a half-decent club here. So now we got that little bit of extra range. And we got it right where we want it. And that's probably the last chest that I'll open. You can see I'm down to 324 gems, but I've been kind of really able to kind of progress. And as long as I can win this last match, so hopefully I do. So we're going to concentrate on just trying to take care of business here, hopefully. This is a perfect hole for us to play because there's really no risk of us making a mistake. We're at least going to get to the shootout more often than not. Let me put it to you that way. It's going to take an opponent's well-played shot to beat me. So you can see what my opponent's doing. QB. Definitely something that I'm thinking about doing as well. You can see I'm up against the Kingmaker. Doesn't make me absolutely thrilled to potentially have to max the tour against the Kingmaker. Doesn't necessarily make me thrilled. But I'm going to more or less kind of play very similar to what you saw my opponent. And hopefully I'm able to can this and kind of avoid the shootout, which would be ideal for me. But I'm going to play it very similarly. Somewhere right around here. Some topspin. A little bit of curl. Just trying to get it in the fairway. Not do too much here. As long as I can get it to long iron range, I'm happy. So you can see my opponent's very close to max, which will put me very close to min on a long iron. Opponent does have the Hornet unlocked, something I'm trying to get unlocked. I'd feel a lot happier if I had a Hornet. Even a Hornet 1, I'll take it. Give it to me. Give me something that I can use come tournament time. So it looks like my opponent's essentially just laying up here, trying to avoid it from rolling down the hill. Not doing anything crazy. Not sure why. This hole is not quite as risky as people make it out to seem. The worst thing that you can do is just kind of leave it down on this hill. You can see I'm down towards min. And what I'll typically do is pretty close to full on my backspin. Very close. 4 bars here. 4 bars might be too much. So we'll do 3.5. Right around there. We are close to min. I'm thinking maybe 2 something per ring. So right about here for my adjustment. Oh, come on, really? Very good opportunity to close out this tour, and it's going to require me hitting a very good shootout shot. Would rather ended it there. But this one is to close out the tour. We're really hoping that we're able to do it. So we just got to, have that focus to make sure that, we do everything that we can. I think this is only our second or third shootout. So we've really done good in this sequence to make sure we don't make any mistake anywhere. That's the key here, is just do what's required. Don't make mistakes, and you'll put yourself in a good position to at least win 50% of your games without even needing a shootout, if you can go mistake-free. So let's see what my opponent has here. I'd say that wind is a little bit more favorable for my opponent because he's got a good ball. So I'm not going to be able to do this shot here. I'm going to have to do the wood shot, and hopefully I can pull it off. It looks like he's trying to use the backstop up there, which is a perfectly fine way to do this hole. Best case scenario for us, he leaves it back there. But it looks like it is going to come back, which is going to make things interesting. Oh, geez. Look how close that rolled. Unbelievable. It's almost impossible to beat .70. I can't believe I get it down to one game from closing this darn tour, and then that happens. It's almost impossible to beat that shot. Unfortunate series of events there. So we're going to have to also play that back slope and just hope that by some miracle this rolls inside .70, which is not an easy thing to accomplish. So small adjustment here. At least we got our perfect. Let's see how it rolls out. I got it up a little bit higher than he did, so at least it has a chance. Oh man, is it close. 0.69, I think I did it. Oh wow, by 100th of a yard. So, very challenging there. Got a little bit lucky, but I'll take it. There's a lot of skill to that shot, but at the same time, it comes down to who's luckier, essentially. My opponent used no precision on his shot whatsoever. Think about that. He went into overpower. Basically, you're just guessing how much overpower to go. And especially with, very little ball guide, and it just came down to a fraction of an inch. And fortunately for me, I was on the good end of that in that scenario, and it allowed me to close the tour. Otherwise, I would have had to play at least 2 more games to close the tour. So it is really favorable that worked out for me. You can see with where my player card wound up. And we're just going to take a break. We are done with Tour 5. Next time I see you guys, we'll be on Tour 6. I'm going to do some Tour 6 before the tournament. So do be on the lookout for more content to come from this account. I'm going to do some Tour 6 for you guys with some entry-level clubs here. As you can see, I'm not too excited about the bag that I had. This is the longest I've ever used Viper, ever. I've never gone all the way through 100-some games and not had a Guardian yet. But when you play for free, it just kind of slows down your progress. There's a chance that I could have it unlocked by now, but at the same time, there's also a chance that I could not have it unlocked by now. And as you can see, we're more on the path which doesn't have it unlocked right now. But that's okay. We're going to just keep grinding. You can see we're up close to 500,000 coins, which gives us a very good coin inventory, and we don't have to really worry too much. I'm a very good Tour 6 player, so I have a lot of confidence going into that tour. The hardest thing for me is going to be the distance component, because you can see that I'm still rolling with a extra mile 4. This might be the first time that I haven't had maybe like a 5 by now. But that's not a requirement either. What I love the most about Tour 6, so I just want to talk about this for a minute, is the course is so long that most of the time your opponents are not going to be able to get to the green in 2 for, the Southern Pines holes. So anytime we get a Southern Pines par 5, it's almost a guaranteed birdie, which means I can just go quasar off the tee. I don't have to use these crazy balls, which typically works out favorably because you get to use lower clubs and just kind of focus on precision more so than trying to power the ball. However, another thing that I really like about Tour 6 is the fact that the fairways are also huge. So you have these overwhelmingly large fairways, especially in Southern Pines. And when you do need to go for those power shots, you can blast them and don't have to worry about putting it in the sand too often if you're careful. So it gives you the flexibility to go power when you need it, keep it in play, and not have to play from the rough very often, which also leads to fewer mistakes. So if you take advantage of those situations, keep the ball in play, avoid the mistakes, you put yourself in a position to win. So do be on the lookout for that. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, and we will do some Tour 6 for you guys. So good luck out there with your rounds. Hopefully you guys are progressing your accounts. And take care, everyone. See you guys next time.